Hello. If you're watching this video, I want to tell you right off that this is not normal for my YouTube channel. I'm calling this a public service announcement video because I have something in this box that is amazing. It was very helpful for my wife who recently had a total knee replacement. And if you don't know anyone that has an injured knee, ankle, elbow, shoulder, or a knee replacement, you probably ought to turn this off because it's not for you. But if you think you might know someone that could use something special, this is not a gimmick, it's just cold therapy. And stay with me and I'll show you how this works. We all know that after a severe injury or surgery, any trauma to a joint, there's really two ways you can relieve the pain and inflammation. One is you can use drugs, and the other is cold therapy. Sometimes you can use them in tandem, and that's usually what's done after a knee replacement surgery. The problem we have today, as you know, is the opioid crisis is rampant in this country, and a lot of times it starts after surgeries dealing with pain. So to alleviate the need for these opioids and to really take away inflammation and pain, this is just a wonderful contraption. What we have here, it's similar to a little 6-pack ice chest. You can see there's just a big chamber in there, and simply stated, you fill it up with about 1 inch of water, and that 1 inch covers an entry and an exit port for cold water. You put 2 large blocks of ice in here, close it up, and you can turn it on, and when you turn it on, there's several settings, and it will do this. It will take that cold water and pull it out of this chest and run it through this meshwork of capillaries. And when this is wrapped around a knee, for example, it will recirculate that water through there, keep it somewhere between 40 and 50 degrees, meaning it's not going to cause damage from cold. And when it does that, it's going to remove the heat from that joint, it's going to remove some of the inflammation and a whole lot of the pain. If this seems like something you want to know more about, this is not a commercial to sell it because I am not doing that for this reason. I just want to tell you how you can simply use this. Now, stay with me if you want to get some tricks that we learned through a very horrific 2 weeks of pain coming right off of a surgery. So I'm going to show you some quick tips on how to use a device like this in its easiest form. One of the biggest problems you're going to run into is this chamber that you're putting ice into cannot work very well with crushed ice or ice cubes. They would melt way too fast. So what you really need to do is get some of these plastic tubs and freeze some large chunks of ice, and they fit perfectly in here, 2 of them. These here are coming from this product called here Hillshire Farms turkey breast sliced meat, Costco, and it just works perfect size for this unit. If you cannot get those, you can buy these at Target, and you'll notice I have a numbering system on there, and that numbering system really is a help to you when you're using this, especially if you're using it 24/7. In the middle of the night, you don't want to get up and look around and try to find which one of these tubs is frozen solid, and that's a problem we had. You hold it up and there's a bubble inside. They take about 10 to 14 hours to freeze, and so you need a number of them in your rotation. And I'll show you the system that I use. You can see in this picture I have a number of blocks of ice frozen. This is a counter size refrigerator and freezer, so it doesn't have a lot of space. And you'll notice I have a numbering system on each of these blocks. and I'll show you how that's used. Looking at this numbering system 1 through 5 multiple times, all I have to do is come to this and I can see the next tub to be used is number 3. When I use it, I cross out the number and then replenish the water in those tubs after I've removed the cubes. And by the time this rotation comes around to number 3 again, I know I have a frozen pair of blocks. Looking into the tub, I'm sorry about the wobble, you fill it up with water to this line, and you can see if I turn it around this way, you can see the 2 ports, the entry and exit port for the water, and you're covering those when you fill it up to that line. And then you put your blocks of ice in here and it'll bring the water up about that high, and you're ready to go. So how do you thaw these things out so they fall out of the tub? I was doing all kinds of stuff going around the edge and it didn't work very well, and I found the best way was just to flip them upside down, put warm water right in the center there, and then usually they just drop. You'll hear it in a second. That's it. And then you can take it and go like that, flip it out. You may want to have some rubber gloves on if that bothers you. And then there's one in the bucket. And we'll go ahead and do a second one. And we should hear a drop real soon here. Certain ones take a little bit longer to drop than others. There we go. Let the water fall. Pop the cap, throw it out, and set it in there. And you can see I have the water up to about right here. You can fill this up with ice cubes if you'd like to. You might get a little bit more time. You're good for about 4 hours with this, depending on the speed setting that you put it on. There, you're ready to go. Now, we learned a lot about wrapping the pad actually on the knee. If you're doing it right on the bare leg, we found that using the pillowcase, maybe doubled over on itself, laying there would prevent too much cold coming upon the flesh. So we here are using it through this fabric, and you can see there's a place where the patella sits, and you can wrap this around. And then we use a large ace bandage, and then wrapping it around, I found what works best is we take it and go down like this and come around. Notice how my wife helps me by tipping side to side, and that first one anchors it, and then I kind of did a figure 8 through the joint because she was getting some pain under there. And when we come up here, again, it's a lot of help if there's that rocking in between. And then we're coming around here and kind of finishing it off. And I'm trying to stay out of the bend right here because we don't want any constriction in there if we can help it. So come there. And this one has Velcro on the end, so I can just kind of go like that. You don't want to go super tight on here. You just want to have this so it holds in place. And then you can plug the hose into here. These are O-rings that will not leak. They leak a little bit when you pull it apart. That's just the drainage in the joint. And that's all there is to it. Set it on setting 1 or 2 and you're good to go. Another suggestion, when you unplug this from the longer hose, you might want to take a hand towel and put it underneath here. And if there's any dripping, it'll go on the towel and not on you or the bed.